DOGE. Set up liberals rules-based order. What in the world am I talking about? Well, folks, everything I'm going to be using is in the description. All the links there under the copyright section 107. Made for fair use. I'm reporting this, giving you educational purposes and other things tonight. I know this is a impromptu live stream, and I figured live streams are different to do because you're live. And I did a live stream the other day, and I didn't have the order like I wanted it to, so I went back and re-edited it, and I'll put that back up on later. But right now, I'm doing this live, and I don't know if anybody's going to be coming on or not, because I'm just getting on there right now. Hope people come on, but if I don't, I'll just go ahead and get started real quick, because I'm going to be talking about those subjects, about Soros, DOGE, the latest findings of DOGE, what's going on here, because it is either a setup or it's not. There's something going on here that all of a sudden all the connections kind of came into place and began to fit into place. And that's what I'm going to share tonight. So as people are joining in, I'm waiting for a live chat here. Okay, Ren, Joe, okay. I'm going to be talking here. You guys can hear me okay? I'm sure of it. Okay. We're going to take off in just a second here. I'm glad you guys are coming on. All right, taking a break from Ubering, so get ready. And if you have ability, you can listen, or you could watch the video live as I try out a new system on here. I'm going to be showing a live screen shot of a website. I'm going to be able to scroll through it and read through it. And I hope the sound works. Last time this didn't, and so I'll be checking. So bear with me in this endeavor. So glad people are showing up. This is a thing. Sandra, got Ren here. Ren's here. Joe's here. Who else is here? Sandra's here. Sandra's here. I'm glad y'all are coming in. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started with a few people on here, because I didn't announce this. I just wanted to get going on this, and didn't want to take too much time in an introduction. So hope everything you can hear me. I'll check back and make sure you guys can hear me as we go on. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. What gives, folks? What gives? Is this a setup or not? What in the world's going on? We look around here, we have no idea what is going on, and we can't make sense out of it sometimes, folks. It's an amazing thing. Welcome, everybody. I'm glad you all are here, and I'll make sure everybody can, before I start, you guys can you hear me? I got everything set up the way I want it to go. Make sure people can hear me before I continue onward. Let me know if you hear me. Okay. Okay, can you all hear me? Can you hear me? I write that down. Maybe somebody can respond. Make sure people can hear me. All right. I'm going to assume that people can, because I can't read. Somebody could type in, say, you can hear me. If we can't, I don't want to do a whole live stream. Okay. Yeah. Ren says, yes, you can hear me. So anyway, we're going to go through this, folks. And it's going to be this is going to be something, because something happened the other day, And with DOGE, as you know, is the Department of, is looking into fraud and abuse by the federal government. And you either like DOGE or you hate it, and there's people who are coming against it. This is sort of a special report newscast because what they uncovered is a setup of unimaginable proportions beyond what our minds can comprehend. And it ties right back to another subject matter, which I'll end it on in this series. So what am I talking about? So lately, we had some remarkable things come up on screen here. On ET on YouTube, says George Soros funded chaos in the U.S., India, Bangladesh, Viva USAID grants worth $270 million in the last 15 years, folks. In the last 15 years. And basically the whole thing goes on. The U.S. granted George Soros $270 million to Hungarian American billionaire George Soros organization in the last 15 years. It's an amazing thing to see that going on here. And you see it right there. I'm reading that gray spot right there, quoting it. And but people always were wondering, where did George Soros get all his money? This is the $1 million question. He's a billionaire, but he's a lot poorer in billionairehood than Musk or Trump or Gates or anybody else. They have $300-400 million to play, billions of dollars to play with. George Soros, I think, has, I can't remember his net worth, 10, 20, or 30 billion. That's a lot of money, but you can't fund all the organizations, flip governorships, flip DA-ships in the country and worldwide in what he's done without being able to have billions and billions of dollars. And people are trying to figure out, where did he get his money? Well, voila, through the USAID project. He got caught with his pants down, folks. I'm not kidding. And it goes on to say in that little thing, it says the U.S. has granted over $270 million to George Soros organizations in the last 15 years. East West Management Institute, an organization partner with Soros Open Society Foundation, got money via the USAID program. Isn't that something? Through the taxpayers. How in the world can this possibly happen? Well, it goes on. It says the revelation comes amid growing scrutiny of USAID and President Trump's recent freeze of USAID budget. DOGE head Elon Musk has helped the Trump administration highlight USAID's funding for woke, controversial, and regime change projects. As per reports, Soros used his money to spread chaos in Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, the UK, Ukraine, UK, and the United States. How you like that? And I find that kind of amazing. Then you got to throw this in there. This is another report, and it's linked. It says Anna Pauline Luna, here she is again, exposes how USAID helps destabilize nations with race riots. This is incredible. So I'm simply going to quote from her. I have my phone here, and I have the transcript of this website here, and all the links are in the description. And it says, and this is what she says: in 2021, the Special Operations Command under General Willy Nilly Milley, you know who General Milley is, as chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, former Joint Chiefs of Staff, I would say, put out an instruction manual, a vision for 2021. This is what she's saying, and she has the documents to prove it. And in the video, she shows them and she's arguing with this guy who's trying to deny it, that this is all fake. And she catches him with his pants down. There's no other way to say it. And General Willy Nilly Milley, or General Milley, puts out an instruction manual for the 2021 and beyond that contained instructions and examples on how the military could work with the State Department, Intel Services, USAID, using race riots. Here's an example of some of the instruction manual. So she takes a picture and she shows it in this video, the instruction manual, and several of the pages copied so people can read them. It's rather enlightening to see that. Here's one: in order to destabilize nations. Okay. In addition to that, they advocated the setting up of jobs fair near some of these uh, riots so that disinfected workers could gain employment. Now, as a member of Congress, I ask myself, did anyone in USAID get elected to Congress? How about to the presidency when you're acting in the shadows and you're destabilizing nations, including the United States, using race wars to do it, and then advocating that the military does in my opinion, not only do you put the future generations that would have to fight those wars in jeopardy, at the end of the day, you're operating without any oversight. So I guess the question for you guys, Mr. Nanos, is that something that you were aware of? Were you aware of this instruction manual? And this guy goes on, no. So what in the world did she uncover? How does this relate to George Soros and destabilizing countries? And USAID. USAID. Billions of dollars going to destabilize even our own country. What happened in 2021? What happened in 2020, 2019? Do you remember George Floyd? Do you remember these riots going on? And you felt like our nation is going to chaos, and this imaginary thing happened in 2020 you still can't talk about, at least in the United States. And even though it's all out in the open, it is a mess with how it started. And you have destabilization in the United States and the world. What the heck for is the question. That's the $1,000,000 question that we're going to look at today. All these things begin to connect through USAID. Let's look at this. General General Mark Milley. So I actually used this. I went back and researched it again, and I got the same site that I was hoping to find. I used this site before, talking about this in 2020 or 2021, about a liberal, rules-based world order. And General Milley's been an advocate of a liberal world order, a liberal, rules-based world order. Joe Biden talked about a rules-based world order, and so did Kamala Harris. We are here going to have a liberal, rules-based world order. So you have General Milley, who wrote a manual how to destabilize nations, and George Soros destabilizing nations through the same organization, USAID. Got it. Get the picture now. Let's look at General Milley. General Milley discusses post-World War II liberal world order. General Mark Milley discusses the world order. And it goes on here. The world order relies on U.S. military power. Why does the U.S. need a large military? It depends on what you want the military to be able to accomplish. The United States has been a global military since World War I. What do you want the military to do? Destabilize nations. Why? And our own nation. Why? For a liberal, rules-based world order. The Bretton Woods Agreement in July 1944, after World War II, established an international order, the rules and regimes by which the world runs today. For 7 decades, the world has had a certain set of rules emphasizing things like free trade, international commerce, democracy, human rights, and the liberal world order. Boy, that sounds groovy, man. That sounds so harmless. It sounds great, doesn't it? But if you understand how the progressive left talks about democracy, it's not how you define it. Neither do I define it that way. It's a word game that, I call psychopaths play. They have a different meaning for the word, and they get their kicks out of watching people scramble. We saw General Milley's thing on it. He wanted to explore diversity, equity, and inclusion, and ruined our military in the process. There are institutions that this world order rests upon, like the United Nations, the World Bank, the World Trade Organizations, and many others. One of the significant roles of the United States military for 7 decades has been to enforce that world order, to maintain it and maintain its stability. Get up, applaud, wave the flag. Don't try, because don't be patriotic on this. This is nothing to be patriotic about. What's the thing? We just found out that he is about destabilizing nations through race riots and conflict inside of nations, including our own. We just found out that this guy, George Soros, 270 million have been to a billionaire, George Soros, in the last 15 years. with his money and that money combined, he has enough to destabilize. And he gets more people in his Tides foundations that he has, the Tides Foundation. So they collect in this fund mass amounts of money, and they just, that's how he does it. It's a shell game. So not only the 270 million there, plus the other wealthy people pour in their money into this foundation, and they use USAID as a cover, and they destabilize nations. Why? It's amazing. And, and our next clue is Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. But Joe Biden, look at this. I want to look at the year of this. This is January 18, 2017. General Miley here was July 2017. Okay, and then now in January, before General Miley gave out this information in 2017, here's what it says: defend the liberal international order. Top quote from Joe Biden's Davos swan song, January 18, 2017. Here's another one. This is July 22. What is the liberal world order? Biden advisors' remarks sparked diversion about him on talking about a liberal rules-based world order. Then you got Kamala Harris in her brown or purple or black jumpsuit saying, we're here to do a liberals rules-based world order. We're going to uphold that. What in the heck is a liberal world order? So let's begin to really dig into this. So I went to Wikipedia, and it gives you the bullet points, and that's all I'm going to touch on. And you see the highlighted areas. In international relationship, the liberal international order, also known as the rules-based order, describes a set of global rules-based structured relationships based on political liberalism, economic liberalism, internationalism since the late 1940s. And it especially entails international cooperation between multilateral institutions like the United Nations, World Trade Organizations, International Monetary Fund, and is constituted by human equity. Now, here's that word equity. What does equity mean? We interpret equity as, implementing fairness under the rule of law. They don't describe it. That's not the meaning of equity. Equity, I heard James Lindsay give a good definition of it. It is to destabilize and deconstruct society and reshape it into a rules-based world order. Voila, equity. Cut everybody down, make everybody equally poor. If you're a success, you have to be knocked down. And, just wait. It really gets good here in a minute, and it really starts to make sense. And so you got that, okay? And constituted by human equality, freedom, rule of law, and human rights. Who can argue that? Based on what you call it. Do you remember in 2024 Easter celebration on the White House lawn, all the transies and people and jiggling in their body parts in front of the public, and Joe Biden's getting all hot and bothered around the coddler about it? You remember that? That's human equity. That's freedom. That's liberation. They're here to liberate you. This rules-based world order is based behind something that I've been talking about for some time, but people just kind of lack the evidence for it. But we're kind of want to see what's going on here. It goes on in here. It says the main article. It goes on. The definition of the liberal order is characterized as an open, rules-based international order, while maximilianist definitions include liberal social purpose, that's right human relationships, economic and political rights, liberal that is, and liberal democratic decision making. Socialist, a pure, kinder, gentler socialism, a socialism that only Lenin and Marx and Engels just dreamed of, a Marxist 5.0, a spiritual communism to rule it all in this liberal world order. socialism, a new way. You don't believe me, huh? In 2018, Incaberry defined the liberal international order as multi-layered, multifaceted, and not simply a political formation imposed by leading state. International order is not one thing that states either join or resist. It's an aggregation of various sorts of ordering, rules, and institutions. There are deep rules and norms of sovereignty. There is a sprawling array of international institutions, regimes, treaties, agreements, protocols, and so forth. These governing arrangements cut across diverse realms, including the security and arms control and the world economy, the environment, global commons, human rights, political relations. Some of these domains of governance, many may have rules and institutions that narrowly reflect the interest of the hegemonic state, UN, world order, okay, but most reflect the negotiated outcomes based on a much broader set of interests. I thought at least the wiki got it right for a change. At least I didn't have to go all over the place to find out how to define it. It's all right there on wiki. And it's an incredible thing when you look at it and you begin to understand something that's going on really deep and dark here. And with that, I'm going to shrink myself here. And we're going to look at this. The United States and rules-based world order. 6 experts debate America's approach. Okay, introduction. President Donald Trump's foreign policy was often criticized for the damage it did, not just to immediate U.S. interests, but also to the very structure of post-war international relationships. After the Second World War, Washington drove the establishment of a new international institutions centered on the United Nations and what became known as the World Bank International Monetary Fund. This thickening system of international organization, rules, and norms, commonly referred to as a rules-based order, is widely credited with having improved international peace and security in preceding decades. Okay, got to go over here, folks. I want to make sure, can you hear me now? I'm on this thing. Can you hear me? I sure hope you can hear me. If you don't hear me, let me know. I'll look online here and I'll be quiet. But you can see me on their screen there. And so we go up here to these places right here. And here we are, debate threads. Select an argument or a response. You have arguments and responses. You have you have different rules, different things, how they're talking about the rules-based world order. And that's what I'm going to talk about right now. So let me go down to where I'm at. Okay. Okay, I'm going to look for first rebuild at home. Okay, I want to go here. Go here, and you select it. You read the article. First, rebuild a home. Guess whose picture do you see in the background fading in and out in that thing? Kamala Harris, right? First, rebuild at home. China rose within U.S.-led order. It now seeks to revise elements of that order to better reflect its own power and preferences. Let's just scroll up a little bit here. Hey, man, just track with me for a bit, and we're going to look at some of these paragraphs. I'm not going to read them all. As President Joe Biden begins his first term in office, remember this, he inherits an international order on the brink of collapse. And wow, what does all that mean? Well, when George Soros was, I'm going to try something here. Okay, I want to resize this 17, about right there. I'll make myself a little bigger. Maybe go a little bigger. Okay, I know, too big. Okay, there I am. So you have a rules-based order. Joe Biden in his first term inherits international order on the brink of collapse. So in 2017-ish and so forth, etc., General Miley went around, the liberal order cannot survive. He made speeches like that. Other people did. And so they got together. How can we keep our socialist worldview of a perfect form of socialism alive so we can all flip into a government a government agency that can govern everybody but still retain their national national borders and stuff? And how can you flip everybody into 10 economic trade zones, which they already have? How can we put it all together in this rules-based order to solve all the problems of humanity, like global warming, war, so forth, etc., and all that stuff? So they're talking about that. The crucible of this thing that happened has exposed deep flaws in the system of international norms, laws, institutions, structures, and cooperation between the state. Despite the immense shared challenge posed by this thing that happened, the global response has largely been fragmentary. International institutions have proven ineffective. So what they're saying here, pretty much and primarily, if I just talk for a second here, is how can I say it? It was an exploratory project to destabilize systems. It is amazing, isn't it? Hope you guys can still hear me. But I'm telling you, I'm going to read this a little bit more. Instead, as Myra Rapp Hooper argued in The Open World, How America Can Win the Contest with the 21st Century Order, the liberal international order is buckling under weight of long-term global power shifts, goes on, and worsening domestic political dysfunction within the United States. And that's interesting phrase considering how, when we go back here, that George Soros was destabilizing things, and you have here the USAID project helping to destabilize race riots, and General Miley, who's been talking about the liberal world order and how to save it. And if you understand a certain philosophy of order out of chaos, all this begins to make sense and fits, because you see it in their own writings. This is not me, this is their writing. And it's worsening the domestic political dysfunction within the United States. With China's meteoric economic military growth, Washington no longer stands alone as the world's uncontested superpower. And the idea of this liberal world order was simply to put here to they wanted America to be the policeman of the world, but then America's too big for its britches, so you got to have all the free nations of the world unite on this world order, which is Europe, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Western Europe, all of Europe, basically, and any other country that wants to join in. And so you have an actual group of people, and that's what they're talking about. And they're to be together. We're to rule the world. But now we got to divide it amongst the nations, because for equity's sake and socialism, then you can't have just one superpower. You have to knock the U.S. down. Why? Because you got ideas of national heritage, the ideas of America, who you are as a people, how you kicked the bad guys, how you won 2 world wars, how you set a lot of people free. We have free speech. Everything that is a threat to these people who want to control everything, America represents. So you have to knock them down without them knowing it, destabilize them, have everybody come into this one world order, create chaos. Then at the right moment, you come in and go, we have come to save the day. And so they come in, and you have a liberal world order that can fight China and Russia. When you read about this and go into this a little bit more and more and more, you end up finding some crazy things here. So even though China rose within the U.S.-led order, it now seeks to revise elements of that order or better reflect its own power and stuff. So it says here, to meet those novel realities, restoring a pre-Trump foreign policy is simply not an option for the Biden administration. Instead, as Raph Hooper and I contend, Washington must pursue a new approach that rejects both nationalism and nostalgia while embracing self-discipline along a global engagement. What in the world is that talking about? It's talking about just what it says. Reject nationalism. If you're Oh boy, those people who in January of certain year 21 came in, boy, they're nationalists, they're fascists, they're the enemy. We can't have national sovereignty, can't have your this idea of Americanism and exceptionalism. That's evil. You are the oppressor, America. You must be dumbed down and be part of this international order. And everybody works together and sings kumbaya, and we can stop China and we can go to war with Russia. So this whole thing is about going to war, creating a war or some type of conflict with two major powers. Wow. For peace, stability, something doesn't make sense here. It really doesn't. And so that's why I bring this out. Okay? And it goes down here. It says, since these are priorities that the United States shares with many of its closest allies and partners, these efforts can serve a springboard for a broader strategy under the modernization that aims to renovate the legacy institutions such as the United Nations and World Trade Organization for contemporary challenges, while also building new fit-for-purpose multilateral structures where needed. The United States can only succeed in these ambitious domestic and international objectives if it rebalances its foreign policy toolkit and evaluating the diplomacy development that is centered on a revitalized State Department while embracing a more restrained approach to overseas military interventions. In other words, we're going to have a unilateral, everybody in this organization get together, and you are a new breed of human being, baby. You can solve the world problems. You're going to lead the way of human rights, and wow. But you can't have national sovereignty. You have to destroy that in all countries to bring this about. And so, somebody go back to General Milley's manual on how to destabilize nations with race riots and chaos. And you have George Soros receiving $270 million in the last 15 years from USAID, and his foundation has been found putting in money so they can elect liberal federal judges and DAs and they release criminals on the street, create chaos. Look at your world order, perfect world order of California. Man, there you got it. Destabilize so they can come in and we all have to work together, scramble together, as they say, at the Rockefeller Foundation. Destroy everything and build it back better and scramble together after everything is shattered and build this perfect utopia world, a utopic world for psychopaths, but not so much for everybody else. And so that's what you're looking at. So I'm just going to go through this a little bit more here. I don't know if I have any more here. It says the destruction that President Biden will inherit is vast, both at home and abroad, but so too are the enduring advantages enjoyed by the United States. Its economy is okay and all that, and it's the largest in GDP. It's dollars dominant. This is 2017-ish, I think, and the global power. Okay, 2021 when this was written. And the global power projection and science and technology base without peer. If Washington reinvests in these assets, it will not recapture global primacy, but it can shape a future order that advances safety, security, and prosperity of all Americans. Right, 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 right. I'm going to go back to this page here. No, man, I'm telling you, I'm not at all. No. Not at all. It's not advancing rights. And then I'm going to go to this section here, a tiered membership. This is a response to some of this stuff. Whoops, I got to go over here. A tiered membership. Go back. I read the article. The United States can support liberalism at home and among its allies without embedding these principles in a universal order. Oh, please don't make me laugh too hard. I mean, come on. I mean, creating race riots in your own country and destabilizing things and demonizing half the population as enemies of the state, censorship. All that is so perfect in this. thing. Oh my gosh. The United States can support liberalism at home and among its allies without embedding these principles in the universal order. I'm sorry. At first glance, there's a considerable consensus among contributors to this forum, but all whom argue that the incoming Biden administration should embrace a rules-based order. Yet, this consensus obscures considerable debate around 2 points: the extent to which the United States should include or exclude China and Russia within a reconstituted rules-based order, to the extent to which rules-based order should reflect liberal rules and values. Wow. It's all about liberal rules and values, not what works, but socialism that has always failed. You got to understand these people. They have a failed ideology, but they believe it so hard that the idea can't fail. So it's through trial and error, constant trial and error. Uh, you know, uh, uh, Marx did it, and Engel refined it a little bit more. And then other socialist things come up. And then you finally Lenin comes along, has Leninism. And then you have Stalinism. Then you have Maoism. And all these things fail. Then you have Communist Chinese Party. All this stuff fails. But the theory of a collective world order, a socialist world order, ruled where the state no longer exists and everybody lives as a Marxist, communist, socialist with under collective group love, group conformity, and group control, because they have been changed to and liberated. They don't need government. They'll just naturally work and dispense abroad and just give away things freely. If you like to farm, you just love to farm, and you're going to give it out to people. And if you like to drive a gas truck, you drop fuel off to the farmers. You could, but fuel is bad. It destroys the environment. So then you got to have horses to haul the fuel, but you can't have horses because they produce methane gas. So you have mass starvation, and you solve the problem by getting rid of a lot of population. And you have this rules-based world order with enough slaves to keep the psychopaths in their utopic paradise of group love, group conformity, and all that stuff. Yeah. Isn't that amazing? What a world we live in. And so it goes on. Some argue Biden should, for example, the United States should revitalize key institutions such as the North Atlantic Trade Treaty Organizations, NATO, to move artfully, coalesce its allies around the China policy, so forth, etc. Oh man, I'm telling you, this is, in other words, undo everything that Trump did. And so you're going to have to deal with the autocratic nations out there and deal with them like your real communist states like North Korea and trouble with some things. But you're going to do it. You're going to set them free by sending out aid money, and you're going to teach the Taliban to love trans people by having Sesame Street in Iraq. That's going to change the hearts and mind to liberalism. Look at your socialist values. We will criticize your form of government and your form of ideology until you comply. Look at Sesame Street. We're going after the young. That's why these things in USAID are so important to these people, because it creates this, I call it they have a will to achieve power, and they have this thing about love is love, and everybody can sing kumbaya. They have this world order mindset. They got to get rid of these people, so they send this aid off and these wacky policies that ain't going to work, that infuriates these people and makes the hate the United States and the West with a passion. Well, you got totalitarian regimes that want to take over and dominate the world, and this is going to be a loose collection of countries that are going to fight this stuff. Not really. Not really. So, yeah, I'm not going to read all of this, but when it goes down here, does the inclusion of Russia and China mean a rules-based order devoid of liberal and domestic values, democratic values? Let me bring that up here so I can read it a little better. Does the inclusion of Russia and China mean a rules-based order devoid of liberal democratic values? No. For a number of reasons, the United States can support liberalism at home among its allies without embedding these principles in a universal order. I'm sorry, but maybe I'm one of the last generations in college to treat you learn logic and actual real critical thinking, not criticizing everything thinking. But that's a contradiction. That's a logical contradiction. Does the inclusion of China mean a rules-based order devoid of liberal and democratic values? No. For a number of reasons, the United States can support liberalism at home and among its allies without embedding these principles in a universal order. But you already have the evidence. They send the junk out all over the place. And it's an incredible thing. They put it all out there. And so USAID, all these crazy things, Sesame Street in Iraq, these trans stuff in Saudi Arabia, and it does sound like a minuscule amount of money, but they're importing their values over there because they're liberating the oppressed. They have to get rid of nationalism and all that in order to create this liberal world order. They're going to be a new race of people that come on, really intelligent people who have all the answers, and you'll finally have paradise, and you'll be free. Everybody can have a pot for every chicken, and every chicken can be free without the pot. I'm not talking about the grass. I'm talking about a cooking pot. But these people are lunatics. That's all I gotta say. They're nuts. They're crazy, 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 crazy people. And so that's basically what their values are. And so they have this stuff there. To accept the limits of the reach of liberalism does not undermine its power. Indeed, it strengthens it. While I disagree with Porter that the rules-based order is only a dangerous chimera, he's right that the United States' vision of a universal liberal order has ultimately undermined its own democracy. With help of George Soros and General Miley. With friends like that, who needs enemies, man? I'm telling you. I'm sorry, folks. I'm just telling you. Expansionist and aggressive behavior, often in the name of universal values, degrades the fundamentals of national democratic politics. In supporting a rules-based order, the United States needs to keep front and center that there is no greater national interest than preserving and strengthening the democracy at home. This is not the democracy that you and I think of, folks. It's not at all. Not at all. What happened to me? There I am. Yeah. What in the world is going on? And so you look at this stuff, and it's an amazing thing, isn't it? So I'm going to go back to this page, shrink this down. I'll go back to this page. I'm going to look at my notes real quick. I just have lead from behind is the next one I want to look at. Lead from behind. Where is that? Lead from behind. Lead from behind. Okay. Lead from behind. This is a good one. It has long been established that, here's Biden up there, established that states can pursue hard-headed selfish interests through cooperation. Okay. Oh boy, you ready? You ready for this, folks? Oh, let me, I don't have it set up right. Support for a reform rules-based order may be cornerstone of U.S. foreign policy, but the word reformed is crucial in that statement. The U.S. approach to strengthening global order will have to change in ways that will sit uneasily with the expectation and habits of the world-leading superpower. In other words, the United States, this is no longer about freedom and setting people free. This is about control, and you got to get with the program, or else you're not part of the liberal world order. You have to be a socialist. You got to be a Soviet man. You have to become species being, leading the world back to the Garden of Eden. But you think you know it all, Americans? You think because you won 2 world wars and beat the fascists and the communists how dare you defeat this world order that we had in plan for perfection and unity, and love is love. Unite everybody under a under um, universal love and group love. We're here to liberate the profane, liberate the trans, because the trans, you are oppressing them. Biden needs them to celebrate Easter with and do commercials with. He gets his jolly time with them. Why are you denying the rights of these people to be liberated to express themselves? You don't believe in dignity? Your liberal world order teaches you have to celebrate the profane, even though they're wicked, vile people, but you have to just overlook that. Okay? The benefits of the United States of the post-war rules-based order are obvious and well documented. Centered on the first global governance institution, the United Nations, a deepening trade regime, and muscular economic organization, the order incorporates thousands of subsidiary groups, standard-setting bodies, coalitions, businesses, and professional associations, and non-state actors into a most densely institutionalized system the world has ever seen. Folks, this is kind of crazy, folks. It really is. And I'm going to go down here, see where I'm at here. I think it's in the last paragraph or so. Okay, it says, I want to read this. I don't want to go too much farther in it and confuse you all, but it says here, this course would require a complex, multi-pronged approach to solving problems. It would often call Washington to step aside and let others lead and live with the resulting deals, imperfect as they may be. It would demand a nuanced approach to undemocratic states who flout some values of the order, but who are essential on multilateral action. Such an agenda would pose the toughest test for U.S. foreign policy since 1945, but it would be grounded in a single essential strategic insight: a deepening rules-based order dominantly influenced by a guiding coalition of value-sharing democracies, oligarchies, businesses, corporations, foundations, Soros foundations, Tide foundations, Rockefeller Foundation, multilateral corporations, banking institutions. All one, it's like Alice Bailey, the Theosophists, postulated that you got to take over everything in order to institute this new order. It's really goes right along with that, folks. It really does. And as you can see, you got to step aside, let others lead. And then it goes down here. A deepening rules-based order dominantly influenced by a guiding coalition of value-sharing democracies represents the safest possible world for the U.S. interest and values. In other words, you have to surrender your sovereignty, United States. You have to surrender your sovereignty. You can't have sovereignty anymore. This is a rules-based world order, folks. That's what they're looking at. It only gets better, folks. It only gets better. Let me set up the next slide here because it just takes a second here. I got to go back to home page and I'm going to go down here. And then I go back here and I'm going to set myself up down here so you can see this. So we come to the last section, dangerous myth. And I have first paragraph, fourth paragraph. Okay, we're going to go here. What was the chapter again? Dangerous myth. Dangerous myth 1. Okay, dangerous myth. Where's the dangerous myths? Okay, dangerous myth. Okay, there it is. To balance China or tackle climate change, the United States must accommodate inhumane partners. How do you like that? in order to create this liberal world order, America, swallow your pride. You're going to have to incorporate inhumane actors like China and Iran and other people. Yeah, you're always against it for freedom. No, no, no. You have to get along. We're getting along, Slate. We have to decrease so that the world order can increase. You got a hit on, you're too proud, America. A rules-based order could hardly feature U.S. foreign policy beyond minimal hip, hypocritical gestures. The notions of a rules-based order, one where rules and liberal norms replace power politics, is the detriment of behavior binding the superpower and everyone else as part of America's repertoire. It is also impossible, ahistorical, and hubristic. It needs to be tempered by American realism. Wow. So I'm going to go to the last fourth paragraph. What does that say? I wrote down here. What does it say? Para-America. Okay. Para-America. Okay, where's the fourth paragraph? 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I can't find it. I wish I would have highlighted it. Okay, let me just go through here. Okay. You're talking about consider our mythologized order. 1945, the moment of its creation under the banner of the United Nations. America co-created institutions and laws. And they did all this stuff. And now this is not in itself criticism applied prudently. American compromise worked always at a price. Its greatest achievement rested on accommodations. It talked about President Nixon going to all this stuff and opening up trade with China and all that. So, as with all hegemons, America's statecraft went off the rails when it regarded itself as far-sighted, unique leader transforming the world in its image. In Russia, economic shock therapy helped immiserate the country, creating a sinister oligarchy. Trumpist economic doctrines with capital markets and plutocrats unfettered created avoidable suffering, worldwide meltdown, and a global financial crisis. That, my friends, is a crock of baloney. They had a 2020 event that shattered everything. They made sure of that happening so that you would, so that, they can push their way and blame Trump for everything when Trump didn't have anything to do with this. It was thrust upon him, just like you and me, not allowing to go outside of our houses and wearing these muzzles over your mouth and you couldn't breathe. These people know no bounds of total idiocy. Okay? And it goes on. The choice is not between a restored order and Trumpian chaos. Okay, remember, Trump is, everything about Trump. Trump is the agent of chaos. He's the agent of chaos. And we just get rid of Trump and you get a rules-based order back. That was started under Obama. Hillary was supposed to win, but Trump got in somehow. But if Hillary would have got in for 2 terms and Biden could get in for a couple, would have this nail in the coffin. America would just be part of this universal European order. I mean, this united order, rules-based order. Okay? That's where they're talking about it. So, for the rules-based order is not a fact. It's a theology of restoration that frames foreign policy as a morality play. It craves global leadership, but American supremacy after 45 was a product of a typical, impertinent power hierarchy long gone. Presuming its good intentions are obvious, it loses sight of security dilemmas. For nervous adversaries, benign global leadership looks too much like dangerous preponderance of power. But this theology can't fathom resistance and makes adjustments harder. Above all, advancing rules as the organizing idea it presupposes the United States as a supreme rule enforcer with a mandate from heaven or history. History is not kind to such conceits. A world of harsh power politics is a grim prospect. It's also the only world in which we have ever lived. To survive in that world, America needs fewer high-minded manifestos and more cannier realpolitik. Realpolitik, that is a communist term, folks. It's a Marxist term. We'll have to become Marxists in America. You cannot linger and languish in your simplistic ideas of of spreading democracy and free speech to the world. Totalitarian, inhumane people won't like that. The you're going to hurt their feelings. And the liberal order is about not offending anybody, even inhumane maniacs. But we have to have some there, and since you have the largest army, we have to get rid of Saddam Hussein. We have to get rid of this. We have to go to war in order to have chaos, so we can get rich. But so we can put this liberal order and get it together and coalesce by creating as much chaos as possible, destroy the existing structures. So everybody says, I surrender. I want to be a good communist. Help me. It's basically what it's saying, folks. So let me go back to the last segment that I want to focus in on there. And what was that? Let me look here. Lead from behind. Lead from behind. Okay. So I want to go to where it says lead from behind. It says lead from behind. So I'm going to go over here to lead from behind. It has been long established in states that pursue hard-headed self-interest through cooperation. Lead from behind. Okay, and do I have anything written down here? Okay, I'll go over a few things here. Support for a reformed, rules-based order may be the cornerstone of U.S. foreign policy, but the word reformed is crucial in that statement. U.S. approach to strengthen global order will have to change in ways that will sit uneasily with expectation habits of the world's leading power. Okay, and we go down here. This down here, it says this course would require a complex, multi-pronged approach to solving problems. It would often call on Washington to step aside and let others lead and live with the resulting deals, imperfect as they may be. It would demand a nuanced approach to undemocratic states who flout some values of the order but who are essentially multilateral action. In other words, they are hostile towards you. But such an agenda would pose the toughest test for U.S. foreign policy. In other words, the U.S. has to disintegrate in order for this liberal world order. We have to humble the United States. So let me go back here and look at one last thing. Home page. Go down here. And we're going to look at this. Abandon democracy evangelism. Washington would be better advised to steer clear of grandiose doctrines and schemes to domesticate the world to its values. Where should democracy and liberal values fit the U.S. foreign policy? The question is urgent. On the particular day in 2021, in the first month, our mob stormed and blah blah blah. That's all false. At the time, for the first time since 1814. In 1814, folks, it was the British who did that. The British, a foreign power, came in. Oh yeah, right, yeah. Okay. U.S. Donald Trump, the 2020 Polity, a research scheme that categorized state authority characteristics, downgraded America from democracy to anarchy, the country with both domestic and autocratic features. Okay. It says here, reacting to today's turmoil, some, including writers in this exchange, call on Washington to return to a doctrine of democracy and liberalism, spreading its overseas to secure it at home. Likewise, campaigning to restore America, President Joe Biden vowed to make democracy central to American statescraft, from convening the Summit for Democracy to leading the Democratic coalition against authoritarian adversaries like Moscow, and so forth, etc. So basically what they're saying here, they're still going to use the military might of the U.S. to go after, people that threaten this world order, like China and stuff. These people want war with Russia and in the most weird ways. I just can't fathom want to do that. A nuclear power that has the second largest one of the world's largest stockpile of nuclear weapons. Why do you want to start something with them? Are you crazy? I don't know, man. Just things don't make sense. And it says North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, America's instrumental hegemony or Europe historically worked because it pragmatically grouped dissimilar regimes, friendly democracies to check Soviet power. And so basically, if you remember what Trump did, he got rid of that. And they made them pay their fair share. They don't like that, okay? They want to, you know, all that stuff down. So where is this last thing? Ultimately, the attempt once again to make democracy the defining idea of foreign policy may aggregate rather than ease threats of domestic liberty, containing in itself seeds of authoritarian reaction. After all, we're dealing with the legacy of a president who promised to put America first, peddle racial bigotry, suppress dissent. Baloney! That's all lies. Scorn constitutional checks on authority? Absolutely not. Waged campaigns for regime change? That's the Biden administration, not Trump. The presidency of Woodrow Wilson showing the closeness of missionary idealism, authoritarian to cast a shadow. I mean, when you look at this stuff, this is right when Biden was coming into power and stuff. I'm going to go back to this article, and I'm going to go down here if I can find this. Boy, I wish let me see what article that was. Okay. So basically the idea here, folks, is to destroy. Let me get this out of here. I'm done with this. Destroy American exceptionalism and trying to help people better themselves and how to create their own wealth and prosperity, mixed in with the people inside our own government system who wants to destroy us and from within and make this utopic state of for psychopaths, so that you have this world peace, this world stuff by the oligarchs and the people, the deep state. And you have a money slush fund with the USAID slush fund for that purpose to money laundering out of. And you have organizations, philanthropies. I can't pronounce it too well, speech impediment. Philanthropic organizations like the Tides Foundations. You work through the philanthropy organizations and you channel the money to destabilize governments, destabilize the world, and get rid of U.S., United States of America, period. That's what you're going to do. Now, I want you to take a little step back in history because it's all about destabilizing America. Look at this. Opinion. With Biden, America is back, but it's not at the head of the table. Hallelujah. Just what I just read. This organization, this world order, liberal world order says, America, you can't be at the head of the table anymore. You're just too egotistical. We got to slap you down a couple of notches. You're part of the European elite. You're a part of the oligarchy and the rich people. And we know best how to live your life better than you do. So knock you down, destroy your nationalism, destroy your national heritage, destroy your history, destroy the family, destroy anything that'll get in our way to rule everything, because we're the good guys and we love you. It's all about love, you know. So Biden gets in there, and what happens? With Biden back, this is December 2nd, 2020. He just got elected. With Biden back, America's back, but not the head of the table anymore. Let's look at the article. Joe Biden has assembled one of the most experienced and talented national security and foreign policy teams in decades. They grasp that the world has changed and that they can't hit the rewind button of 2016. Most important, they understand that the primary challenge their boss confronts is fixing America's broken house. The key to success or failure of his presidency. If the administration wants to succeed, it will have to establish a more cooperative and less imperial style of leadership. Choose its battles wisely for promoting democracy and human rights, and not automatically discard the few things that President Trump got mostly right in foreign policy. Biden has called this America Century. America's back. Blah, blah, blah. The most talented people could ever imagine. This guy was bald head, wore woman's clothes, he was in charge of the nuclear plants. Wow. And he got caught stealing luggage and stealing women's clothes at the airport by stealing their luggage. Wow. And the most talented of people. We had the most talented pothole Pete there, Buttigieg, of transportation policy. Wow, the roads still stink and are worse shape than ever. Oh, we have the best, most prosperous, economy in the world, and inflation's through the roof. But that's all Trump's fault. 4 years of policies of the most talented team of Kamala Harris. What has been will be. Will become unburdened by what has been. Cackling. Yeah, we're the most talented people in the world who want to liberate and set people free. You have, instead of an Easter egg roll hunt, you have a bunch of half-naked trans people and naked trans people dancing on the White House lawn on Easter. We're all about liberation. This is the liberal world order. No walls, no boundaries. You ever heard that before? This is the liberal world order. The most talented organization. In the eyes of the world, the new administration will be starting behind the curve. Our democracy has been tarnished. A bungling of the pandemic can hurt. Oh my gosh. This almost makes you want to vomit when you read this old stuff. The Pacific region is going their own way on trade, economic matters. Okay, European allies seek greater strategic autonomy from the United States. And on some issues, global warming in particular, Europeans and not just America have earned the right to sit at the head of Biden's table. Yeah, that's why you like Biden. Biden was the perfect stooge to be trampled on. The United States is downgraded. This is the liberal world order that General Miley wanted to do. He made this manual to destabilize countries and nations with race riots and instability, even the United States, to create this mess. And what did he do? He sat in front of Congress and says, yeah, we need to understand the trans people. We need to have more of them in the military. So the head of the Department of Defense guy, big tall guy there, comes in there and basically, what's your recruitment videos? Where's trans people dancing around and be all you can be. Oh, you silly girl. These are going to defend America. Oh man, there's a message fired across the shot of the bow. You submit to our values now, because we're inclusive. We're setting you free because you oppress these people. There's a term, and I never can pronounce it right. It's autogenographophobia or something like that, and it is has to do with. Well, let me back up. I worked in the field and I was trained in this field, and I managed treatment teams for sex offenders and had some of the best training you could possibly have. And this is back then where when you could still talk about stuff. So we talked about different things and we learned about them, like frauderization. Frauders would go into crowded places, and if they like girls, they just kind of bump into them and rub themselves and give them a little jolly time with their lower part there. And that's frauderization. Or they run by and accidentally bump into their breast with their hand. Oh, excuse me, ma'am, I didn't mean to do that. He just did it to 15 other women on the same train. That's a frauderizer. They get excited about that. This autogenographic, I can't pronounce the word, is men who like to wear dresses and act weird, and they're militant. They're the most militant people world you want to meet. And the reason for that, they get dressed up and plan around and get real militant, is they get sexually aroused by it. It's a state before they can offend. Sex offenders go through stages. And eventually these people will offend, but they usually offend on each other. So they had freedom in America to go in the back alleys or go to San Francisco and do it in the bathhouses, wherever they did it before, and nobody ever just whatever, man, do it. Do if you into that, just leave us alone. That's weird. And so you have these militant types of people who have this mental disorder, and you have to accept them or you're toast. Thanks to the Biden administration, they were giving us to the liberal world order. You have to erase everything. Hope you begin to make some sense out of this stuff. Okay. Last paragraph. Biden, his well-deserved reputation for humility notwithstanding, has repeatedly talked about America leading the world, and foreign policy activism is in the DNA of his advisors. I want to laugh. We had 4 years of this stuff. It was a clown show. And they understand that America cannot solve the world's problems, but as it won't, American diplomats, well, in other words, they're not going to fix anything. They got that part right. We're not going to fix anything. And we'll let everybody else grab it together. We'll just have whatever, National Pervert Day or whatever, and liberate people and criminals. Hey, look at Governor Newsom. Isn't he so kind? Those poor criminals don't have any money, and that's why they rob. So let's just, the stores, $950 worth of items stolen from your store is okay. You can't, any more than that, you can arrest them, but after that, our George Soros DAs and stuff will release them back on the street because you are the oppressors, not allowing them stuff that they need because they only steal because they are in poverty, and you're in poverty because you capitalists are hugging all the money and you don't want to distribute it. And we have all these people coming over the border who want to be, have the shares of the spoil of America. And how dare you Americans not prevent them from coming over and taking everything you own and housing and $59 million or whatever, $59 billion or whatever it was from FEMA gave for hotel rooms. Oh, that's, forget about the American people who suffered massive floods, even now, and even late in North Carolina, Tennessee, and all that, and the fires. Forget it. Here's $750. Bye bye. We're FEMA. We're here to help you. Hey, sorry, Lanai, you burned down. Here's $730 a person. We're so nice. We're FEMA. But, we got to give it to the people who come in this country illegally because America oppressed them and they can't share the spoils of America. So we invite them in. You have to do it because we're the good guys making love and show how much we love everybody and we get along. But you are the oppressor and you have to give up that, and we have to destroy you as a people in order to make the house break you to be a good Marxist, a universal collectivist. What is mine is yours, and what's yours is yours. You have to get that mentality. Let's look at the last section. Washington would do well to remember, therefore, that no country wants to be seen as caving to U.S. pressure. If the new administration, like its predecessor, continues to reach into the toolbox indiscriminately for sanctions and other coercive instruments of bludgeon and browbeat their adversaries into submission, it will discover that neither of its allies nor its adversaries are going to comply. Well, let's do the Obama way. Let's put a few $billion on a pallet of cash and send it to Iran. Let's erase the sanctions from Iran and let them go ahead and create a nuclear bomb. And look at October 7th. Happened in Israel. Yeah. Oppressors versus oppressed. Oh, yeah. All justifying the sick minds of these people for this liberal world order. After all, according to General Miley, you have to use USAID helps destabilize nations with race riots and anarchy. So this is a George Soros Foundation. And it's all its foundations, including USAID, giving it money. That's how he gets his power to destabilize nations. Let's finish and wrap this up. Biden is rightly determined to give the promotion of democracy and human rights a more central role in U.S. Wow, how did that work last 4 years? This is both necessary and understandable, having watched Trump exchange love letters with dictators. And that's not true. It's not. There is merit, for example, in the president-elect's proposed summit for democracy and calling out authoritarian rulers in Saudi Arabia, Egypt, North Korea, China, and Turkey, to name a few, but the downsides of dividing the world into countries that are free and are not free are also clear. Achieving most of Biden's top foreign policy priorities will require some cooperation and compromise with unsavory regimes, whether it's climate change or pandemics with China, arms control with Russia, or nuclear proliferation with Iran and North Korea. In other words, the administration will need to make some compromise on its values, as all its predecessors have done in the past, to pursue solutions and problems that can advance U.S. interest. The Uniparty. Hallelujah. Wow. Let me conclude. How in the world could this even be possible? How could such people really exist? Is there something behind motivating them? Yeah. The sixth subrace, H.P. Blavatsky. The forthcoming sixth subrace, in which began very soon, will be the golden age while we reap the fruit of our iniquity of our Kali Yuga, secret doctrine. The process of preparation for the sixth great race must last throughout the whole sixth and seventh subraces. Occult philosophy teaches that even now under our very eyes, the new race and races are preparing to be formed, and that it is in America that the transformation will take place, has already silently commenced. Secret doctrines. She wrote that in the late 1800s, or 1870, 1800s. I can't remember when she wrote the Secret Doctrines. It was over a period of years. But article, William Q. Judd's Rounds and Races article. The fifth subrace is said to be preparing America for a transition or transformation into the sixth subrace. It is not entirely clear whether the United States today belong to the seventh family race of the fifth subrace, blah, blah, blah. The Americans have become only in 3 centuries a primary race before becoming a race apart and strongly separate from all other now existing races. They are, in short, the germs of the sixth subrace, and in a few hundred more years will become most decidedly the pioneers of that race, which must succeed the present European fifth subrace in all its characteristics. William Q. Judge, Echoes from the Orient, page 26. Herein lies the very gist and cycle of the meaning. It is the preparatory cycle with much necessary destruction in it. For before construction, we must have some disintegration. We are preparing here in America a new race which will exhibit the perfection of the glories that I said were being slowly brought to the surface from a long forgotten past. If it's a long forgotten past, how in the heck do you think you know what's right? If it's forgotten, how can you possibly remember it? Oh, I forgot they channel spirits who are lying spirits. Oh, I got it. This process will go on until in the course of many generations there will be produced in American continents an entirely new race, new bodies, new orders of intellect, new powers of the mind, curious and unheard of psychic powers, as well as extraordinary physical ones, with new senses and extensions of the present senses now unforeseen, because I guess the spirits told them this would happen. I could read the Bible and tell you there's going to be a new world order and all that. I could forget talking to spirits, just read the Bible, you idiot. H.P. Blavatsky, Secret Doctrine. The Americans are, in short time, the germs of the sixth subrace, and in some few hundred years more will become, remember she wrote this in the late 1800s, become most decidedly the pioneers of that race, which must succeed to the present European or fifth subrace and all its new characteristics. After this, they'll launch into preparations for the seventh subrace. This means you're going to jump from the fifth root race age into the sixth root race age. That's what these people are talking about. What am I talking about? Let's keep reading. Secret Doctrine, Volume 2, page 445. This process of preparation for the sixth great race must last throughout the whole sixth and seventh subraces of the fifth root race. At that time, there will be no American, but there will be no more Americans when the sixth root race commences. No more, in fact, than Europeans, for they will have now become a new race and many new nations. The liberal world order. the liberal rules-based world order. European and America, but America has to disintegrate in order to become this. Thus, it is in mankind of the new world, one by far senior of our old one. In fact, men have also forgotten whose mission, and karma is to sow seeds for a forthcoming, grander, far more glorious race than any of those we know at present. The cycles of matter will be succeeded by the cycles of spirituality and the fully developed mind. What is all this mumbo jumbo saying? There'll be no more Americans and Western Europeans. They will transition into the sixth root race stage, and there'll be this new race that's going to lead the entire world into a liberal rules-based world order. There's the root of it, Theosophy. These are nut jobs. I'm not kidding. These people believe this stuff. They are true believers. Edgar Casey, you heard me say this, prophesied that in 1998 to 2015 will be the end of the fifth root race. Will begin at that time. It'll transition. It'll be mixed up. And at the time when that happens, H.P. Blavatsky went on in Secret Doctrines explaining that androgyny is going to be championed as the new way, or the sixth root race age to start. The sixth root race stage is based on idealism of collectivism. Cycles of matter will be succeeded by cycles of spirituality until you become a pure spirit being in the seventh root race round when it ends. Okay, let me review this. So this is how all this works. The first root race, it goes through the seven rays of initiation. So the rays of aspect imparts the ray of will to achieve power, produces spiritual coercion to get what one wants. It's power. You become divine. You're awakened. The ray of love and wisdom is narcissistic love, justifying taking everything over as done in the name of love and betterment of humanity. You create a psychopathic utopia, exchanging real love for a collectivized group love needed for group control. This will lead into the next stage, is the ray of activity, adaptability in activating human intelligence. To live subjectively, reject objective reality, exchange for higher sense of illumination, a new way or a new spirit in order to guide the entire population. It's a false Holy Spirit uniting everybody. So human beings in these liberal mindset are pure, transitory, earthreal people. They have no minds, and you have to awaken them the will to achieve power. How do you do that? You're in the oppressed class. I know a secret that can set you free and liberate you. Those people over there are the problem. Now, I went to college and I learned this thing called, what was it? What do you call it? Yeah, I forgot. What did it? It's called critical systems theory. Now it's called something else. But basically, you go inside and you critically analyze everything. Everything is based on power structure, not reality. It's based on power. Who has the power? The boss has the power. Who is he? He's from a different race or different class, and he's evil because they have this, that, and you have to find their faults, bring out, use words against them, change word meanings, and entrap them and destroy the system and burn it to the ground so you can build it back better by criticizing everything. Okay, I'm going to wrap this up real quick. So this is will to achieve power. The second root race stage is where human beings still do not have physical bodies. So basically they develop to touch the divine world, both physical and the spirit world, and they gain how to love, group conformity. And then they all come into the age of Aquarius or a false Holy Spirit. Third root race involves higher universal mind for guidance, to reject the world into this utopic idea. How do you get there? Well, you have General willy-nilly later, writes a manual how to destabilize nations with race riots and all kinds of things. You have George Soros and his foundation destabilizing everything. You have American taxpayers footing the bill for it. And you want this liberal world order? Oh, yes. Yep, you need that, man, I'm telling you. Yep. That's where we're at, folks. I just want you to think where all this leads. This is why you're seeing the last 4 years the way they have. Trump wasn't supposed to be elected, but he got in again. He bought us some time. We don't know how things are going to go, but they don't want Trump. They just had a meeting. President of France had a meeting, and they called a meeting. What do we do about Trump? That was on the news last night or the night before. What are we going to do about Trump? They're in la la land. They have no concept of what's going on in the world. They think they don't want to let go of their power because they're doing it out of love. They want to help you. But you have to be guided by their illumination and become one mind with them to be controlled, tag, track, monitor, and surveil for a better world. Anybody, any Christian, Judaic Christian belief, any libertarian thought, any conservative thought on the matter, anybody who's a free thinker, can intelligently reason, is an enemy to these people. I'm telling you, I just gave you the documents, showed you. And that's why I say we need to pray against this, get in prayer clubs, prayer meetings, and start praying against this stuff, however the Lord leads you to it. With that, I am going to have to get going. I lost track of time. If you'd like to contact me, my websites and information's all up there. If you'd like to support what I do, it's all there. I have 2 books, Land Unknown, Hell's Dominion, and Heaven Beckons. And all of you who gave support, I thank you for it. And just know I don't ask or beg for money. I don't contact you in any personal way for money or anything like that. Okay? So I don't. So if that's someone masquerading as me on a different site asking for that, no, I don't do that. Just report it to me so we can take care of it. And I can report it to the people, whatever, so they can deal with it. But with that, I'm going to have to go because I have to go to, I have to get my shoes on and leave the house. And I have to go to physical therapy to get my shoulders worked on. So I'm going to have to rush right now. I'd love to read the live chat, but I don't have time to. Maybe another time I'll come back and look at it. But I hope you all got something out of this. It's an amazing thing, an amazing world. Now it makes sense of what you're seeing, right? And it's only going to get bizarrer. So with that, you guys be blessed in Jesus' name. We'll see what happens in the future. Keep looking up for our redemption draws nigh. Amen. Look to Jesus. Jesus is our real hope. And relying on him and faith in him alone is our only hope. And just give it all to Jesus. That's what I got to say. It's the only way you're going to keep sanity in the upcoming months. We have no idea what's going to happen or what type of counterattack these people are planning or what's going to happen. It's only just began. Trump's only been in office about a month or so. No, he's not our savior. Know that Jesus is, and rely on Jesus. We just have some borrowed time to get it together, and the church can repent from its laziness and lackadaisical, Laodicean attitude, and not pushing back darkness and start pushing back and exposing this. Pray that the stuff is exposed. And that's what I ask in Jesus' name. That you guys be blessed in Jesus' name.